Welcome everybody to the seasonal diet, eating what our ancestors ate when they ate it, like we were evolved to do. Last week I made a video about what the traditional European seasonal diet would have been and how it would have varied around the year when it comes to vegetables. Today we are speaking about meat and giving you the full breakdown. I've done a couple videos on this, but I'm going to break it down in detail here. What would the meat diet have been like, and the seasonal variability, and at least the European ancestral diet? Because guess what? We are coming into top meat season right now in these next couple months. September, October, November, all around Europe and pretty much everywhere else in the world where there are seasons. All the harvests and festivals and the slaughters and parties and all these things start to happen now in the fall. Most of them take place from September until November, especially the red meats, being cattle and sheep. So this is also the time where the hunt is very popular, especially the big game animals like the deer and the elk. So really, our ancestors would have had plenty of fresh red meat in these next few months. But also, they would have preserved a lot of these meats too after their slaughter. So after November, getting into the winter months, starting December and the next few months after that, we're looking at dried or salted red meat in the ancestral diet. As far as fresh meat during the winter, we would be looking at pork and also goat, which used to be a much bigger part of the diet in Europe, but it's not so much anymore. That's because these animals are quite easy relatively to take care of throughout the winter, and there's no need to really be slaughtering them at the start of the winter like they do with the big cattle or horse or sheep, for example. So yeah, throughout the middle of the winter, we're looking at lots of fresh pork and goat, if you have any sources for that type of meat, and also the dried red meats like I spoke about before. When we get to the spring, not much meat at all. It doesn't make much sense to kill your livestock after you've just been taking care of them all winter, and now you can really just turn them out free into the fields to graze and take care of themselves. Also look at these traditions in the European diet at around this time and these recipes and things like that. There's a lot of fasting and there's not a lot of meat. You can compare things like Lent and Easter, where you're not supposed to eat meat and you're also fasting for long periods of day and you're eating a lot of grains. This is a Christian thing, yes, but even before Christianity, there was a tradition of fasting in the spring, especially if your winter stores were running low. It would be relying mainly on the grains and not so much meat. Then we get into the summertime. That's when we pick up the meat a little bit in the diet. Still not much livestock, because it wouldn't make sense, like I said, to be killing your livestock after you've just taken care of them all winter. There would be a little bit of that. But more importantly, there would be more meat coming from small hunted game, like pests, like rabbits or ducks or things like that. Those are the traditional summer meats, and also fish. Fish year-round, really, especially if your ancestors lived near the coasts, but specifically in the summertime, even if your ancestors were inland, they would be living near lakes or rivers somewhere where the fish migrate back into for the summer. So the summer is over now. At this time when I'm filming this video, I have been eating a lot of fish, and I'm going to continue it too, because my ancestors have all been coastal people as far back as we have records, but definitely cutting down a little bit on the fish now. And like I said, we're getting back to the fall again. That's when the red meat, the slaughter, the harvest festivals, that's when that's coming back up in the diet. And my favorite time of year, plenty of fresh steaks, fresh lamb, soups, stews, and I will be sharing some recipes of mine in the coming few weeks of those, so stay tuned.